Rahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. I welcome you all to today's session. Um, as you are all aware, Ramadan is fast approaching. So Ramadan and diabetes is the hot topic of the time, obviously apart from COVID. So let me introduce myself. Most of you know me. I'm Dr. Atif Munir. I am an endocrinology consultant and I'm the Vice President of Pakistan Endocrine Society for the Punjab province. Um, we had planned under the leadership of Dr. Khurshid Khan, we had planned a Pan-Pakistan, a series of Pan-Pakistan seminars about diabetes and Ramadan, well before Ramadan, but unfortunately due to COVID circumstances, we've had to postpone all our programs. And we thought, okay, fine, within the limitations, we can still go online and kind of engage our doctor community for looking after their patients in a much better way in Ramadan. I will run through my slides and presentations over the next 30 minutes. And as soon as I wrap up, we will invite both our panelists, which who I'll be introducing very soon. The panelists will then speak for 5 minutes each. And while the panelists speak, I will open up the debate for your questions, which we will take on a chat box. I will explain everything. All you have to do is throughout the meeting, please keep your mic mute and keep your video off so that there is no unwanted interruptions or delay or distortions. That's one. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, Pakistan Endocrine Society, and thank you, Hilton, who have been very kind in stepping forward to support this endeavor of ours. I would like to introduce our panelists. First panelist is Professor Dr. Khurshid Khan, who is the president of Pakistan Endocrine Society. He will be joining us very soon. And our other panelist is Dr. Faisal Masood, endocrinologist from Multan and an executive member of Pakistan Endocrine Society. So I welcome you both as soon as you join. We move forward. The format is very simple and straightforward. Because these are not normal circumstances, so I'm going to break all the norms today. There will be no slides shown about any data, any studies. कोई data slides नहीं, कोई study slides नहीं होंगी. I'm just going to run through a few cases, clinical cases, which I see in my clinical practice day in, day out, people asking with diabetes, asking how they can fast safely in Ramadan. वो cases कोई special cases नहीं है, वो cases you see them day in, day out. So we're just going to stick to some common clinical scenarios which we see every day in our clinical practices. And we can see how I would manage them and how would you manage them just to make sure that they can fast safely during Ramadan. As I said, there'll be no evidence slides, no data, nothing to bore you, just clinical cases. And I will finish well within 30 minutes. So let's make a start. So I'm not a religious scholar, and but we know fasting is very close to our hearts as Muslims. So this ayat is a reference. We will try our best, and we do try our best in our everyday practice to try and help and support people to fast safely during Ramadan. But there will be few patients who we don't want them to fast for medical reasons. And at times we might fail to convince them with medical reasoning and rational thinking. But over there, you can use this clause as a reference to try and convince those who you want not to fast. So that's just a reference. Let's move on. Okay, we know the medical risks associated with fasting. They are proven. There is a lot of evidence about it as well. It's hypoglycemia. It's symptomatic hyperglycemia. There's risk of dehydration. Then there's this of diabetic ketoacidosis exclusively for type 1 diabetes. For type 2 diabetes, the risk of hyperosmolar hyperglycemia syndrome is rare, but that's all linked to dehydration mainly. So knowing those risks, let's move on. I still get सरप्राइज्ड क्वाइट अ लॉट कि अभी भी इस जमाने में भी कुछ लोग अभी भी आके पेशेंट्स ये पूछते हैं कि जी शुगर चेक करने से और इंसुलिन लगाने से रोजा तो नहीं टूट जाता. द आंसर इज अ कैटेगोरिक नो. ना शुगर चेक करने से ना इंसुलिन लगाने से रोजा टूटता है. एंड इफ समवन इज लुकिंग फॉर references or some religious fatwas which have been unanimously agreed, there's your reference, and I'm going to move on that front. So okay, so most of the people with type 2 diabetes should be able to fast safely during Ramadan. We just need to make sure we help them and support them medically with the advice and the tailoring of the treatments to support them that they can fast safely during Ramadan. And it will be a mutual kind of shared decision making between you and the person you are seeing. It can't be one-way traffic. The person has to be on board. But please take home message. One of the message is the approach or the advice you're going to give that person has to be individually tailored. Please, one size does not fit all. हर एक की glycoside आदि करने से, हर एक की insulin आदि करने से या सैरी पे ना लेने से वो safely fast नहीं कर पाएगा. You have to make sure कि आपकी जो advice है that is individually tailored. Let's move on. Okay, so I'm going to run through 11 cases now in a row, one after the other. I'm going to discuss what I'm going to do with them. They're all my patients. Fine. Day to day, जो clinical practice में आते हैं वहाँ से कहीं से उठा के नहीं लिए daily practice के cases हैं जो रोज आते हैं. And I'm sure once you see the cases, you'll be able to correlate के यार हमारे पास भी ऐसे case आते हैं रमजान से पहले. The advice or what management steps I'm going to take or I'm going to tell you to take for these my patients is based on evidence and experience. Please, there is Ramzan and diabetes. Yes, there is evidence available, but कोई बहुत बड़ी wealth of evidence available नहीं है क्योंकि Ramzan and diabetes को कोई इतना काम नहीं हुआ कि हम कहें कि नहीं सब कुछ we will go by the book for every person. Yes, there is evidence available, but then there is experience as well. I'm sure a lot of you are much more experienced than me and have looked after people with diabetes in Ramadan for years or decades. So yes, you have that experience. Use it. Use the patient's experience as well. They might have fasted during previous Ramadan. You want to know what they did last time, what went well, what did not go well. I always ask the person, have you fasted during previous Ramadan? What went well? What did you do with your medicines, etc., etc. So please, what I'm going to discuss, what management decisions I'm going to take for these patients or have taken for these patients that I'm going to present is based on my experience, patient's experience, and the evidence available. Here we go. Case 1. So, a 45-year-old male, type 2 diabetes for the last 4 years, hypertension for the last 2 years, no other comorbidity, fit and well, takes metformin 500 milligram twice daily, glimepiride 4 milligram once daily, ramipril for his blood pressure once daily. Now, the two key things I really want to know, and he wants to fast. The key things I want to know as his doctor or his endocrinologist is two things. A, बाकी चीजें I know, lipid profile, liver, hypoglycemia, yes, you all want to know the two or three key things I need to know. One, is this patient monitoring his blood sugar levels? Whatever monitoring is he doing? Home BSL monitoring. या कोई recent HbA1c. I don't need an up-to-date HbA1c as long as the person is monitoring. I just need some numbers to have an estimate कि इसका control, how's the control running? ठीक है, what sort of control is it? Plus, I am really keen to know if this person has any renal function test done. Thirdly, I need to know isko hypoglycemia to nahi ho raha. These are the three things. So this particular case one is not running into hypoglycemia. We have an HbA1c. जैसे मैंने कहा HbA1c जरूरी नहीं है. अगर HbA1c नहीं है तो has he or she been monitoring the blood sugar levels? So as you can see, HbA1c 7.5%. Yes, the person has been monitoring. Fasting levels have been around 140. No hypoglycemia. No reported hypoglycemia. Renal functions are normal. Renal function is a must. Why is a must? We'll go through a case aayega aapko whenever it was done. Doesn't have to be a fresh renal function test, a very recent one. Saal pehle 6 mahine 8 mahine pehle. I just need to know his renal functions are normal. This guy for me is absolutely okay and safe to fast. What I will do is, as you can see, HbA1c 7.5, levels around 140. What I would do is metformin does not need any change. Ek sehri ek iftari pe hogi. Glimepiride, I would half it to 2 milligrams. Just because I don't want him to run into hypos, because he's running reasonable glycemic control. गर्मियों के fast है, लंबा दिन, long days, गर्मियाँ, hypoglycemia का risk is going to be pretty high along with dehydration. So just to avoid those unwanted hypoglycemic episodes, I want him to reduce his glimepiride to 2 milligrams. And that 2 milligram tablet, I want him to take at iftari. So that जब glimepiride की peak आएगी as per its pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, it should come in the night until sehri. क्योंकि night में iftari भी on board होगी, sehri भी लेनी होगी, तो risk of hypo goes down big time. So I would just reduce this guy's glimepiride to 2 milligram, ask him to take at iftar. Full stop, we move on. And the other thing I would recommend everyone who's going to fast is more frequent blood sugar monitoring during fasting. We move on to case 2. 55-year-old female, type 2 diabetes for 6 years, hypertension 2 years. no other comorbidity. She takes metformin 1 gram twice daily, standard dose, gliclazide 80 milligram twice daily, losartan for her blood pressure 50 milligram once daily. Again, I either want an HbA1c or I want to know if this lady is monitoring her blood sugar levels at home. So as you can see, HbA1c is 6.5 and the fasting blood sugar levels are less than 120. Renal function test, whenever done last time, अगर तो कभी जिंदगी में नहीं हुआ हुआ, कभी कराया नहीं है, I would not recommend her to fast until I see a normal renal function. That's very important. So as you can see, this lady is running really good glycemic control. If I continue the gliclazide, she would be having hypoglycemia within like 5-6 दिनों, रमजान के 5-6 दिनों के बाद, it's inevitable. It's almost inevitable with this HbA1c. She would run into hypoglycemia. So for this lady, metformin continues unchanged. Gliclazide, I would just stop at the start of Ramadan. Just stop. Not subah, not sham. Just to, and again, the advice would be keep monitoring more than what you usually do. We move on. Case 3, 28-year-old female, 30 weeks pregnant, gestational diabetes, recent fetal scan showing absolutely okay fetal growth, estimated weight is going as per the gestational age, and the amniotic fluid is normal. Brilliant, everything going. Believe me, ये कोई hypothetical case scenario मैंने, I just had this phone call from this lady 2 days ago. Doctor, can I fast? Her fasting blood sugar levels are less than 100 as per pregnancy targets. Her post-meal levels are 120. So brilliant glycemic control for pregnancy, where we want it to be. That's why the baby is doing fine. Renal function test normal. She wants to fast. It's a categoric, loud and clear no for her. इसलिए कि there is very little evidence available about fasting in pregnancy with diabetes or even without diabetes. The other thing is we know that fasting would inevitably result in glycemic excursions, and any hyperglycemia, even for a few days to weeks at this stage of or any stage of pregnancy, can be extremely harmful for the baby. Dehydration के risk से ज़्यादा है. There is no way this lady should fast. That's our loud and clear advice. If she wants to do it of her own accord, देखें उसमें हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. We just need to play our part. Professional advice, loud, clear message. उसके बाद मरीज ने अपनी मर्जी से कुछ करना है, that's fine, but at least we'll be rest assured we gave the right advice and the individually tailored advice. We move on. Case 4, 50-year-old male, type 2 diabetes, 15 years, and hypertension. Takes metformin 500 milligram twice daily, sitagliptin 100 milligram once daily, empagliflozin 10 milligram once daily. So this is SGLT2 era. Here comes SGLT2. Again, I want to know those few things. Average blood sugar levels around 150. अगर नहीं भी कर रहा तो HbA1c okay. HbA1c around 8.5. Not perfect control, suboptimal control, but normal renal functions. Not running into hypoglycemia. Fine. He should still be okay to fast. Remember, type 2 patients के लिए fasting के advantages भी बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. The biggest one being that they should be able to lose some weight, which is brilliant for everything. But if they kind of adhere to other precautions as well, like watching their diet, etc. For this person, इसका glycemic control इतना भी suboptimal नहीं है कि I should give him a no. Yes, fine. He can go ahead and fast. What to do with his tablets? Metformin remains unchanged. Sitagliptin unchanged. Empagliflozin, people will get worried about, okay, oops, the risk of dehydration because it causes diuresis. So electrolyte imbalance, dehydration. There are small scale few studies with SGLT2 inhibitors in Ramadan, and there has been no kind of proven risk of dehydration. So empagliflozin, dapagliflozin are absolutely okay and safe to continue in Ramadan. I would not change any of the doses. I would just recommend this person to take the SGLT2 inhibitor at iftar, just to minimize that slight unwanted risk of dehydration. Although it has not been proven, it has been tested in Ramadan. So I would just carry on, but just ask this person to take the empagliflozin at iftar. Sitagliptin, metformin can continue unchanged. We move on to the next case. Case 5, 56-year-old male, type 2 diabetes, 13 years, hypertension, dyslipidemia, stable ischemic heart disease, a cardiac stent put in 3 years ago. That's your typical type 2 patient who walks into your clinic every single day, multiple times. Metformin 1 gram twice daily, glimepiride 4 milligram once daily, sitagliptin 100 milligram once daily. HbA1c is 9, average fasting levels around 170. As you can see, the glycemic control is suboptimal. Renal function test normal. You would be quite tempted, KR, you're running pretty high blood sugars. It might be best to not to fast because you might run more hyperglycemia, dehydration. But if you think it that way, is तरह तो we in our practices, in our part of the world, हर दूसरा person will be asking them not to fast because that's the usual HbA1c that walks into our clinics. He should be okay to fast, to be honest, as long as he's careful with diet, etc., etc. और वो जो बाकी benefits हम reap कर सकते हैं, lipid profile के, weight के, if you have a good sound discussion, he should be okay to fast really. I wouldn't change anything in his tablets. Again, I would just ask him to take that glimepiride at iftar. Sitagliptin, metformin should continue unchanged. Glimepiride, same dose. He's not running into hypoglycemia risk with HbA1c 9. Glimepiride can continue same dose but with iftar. I would recommend कि जब आधा रमजान गुजर जाएगा, then he might be at risk of hypos a little bit because then glycogen reserves are kind of depleting as well. So he needs to monitor more frequently. He can fast. Glimepiride can be taken at iftar. I would call him back to clinic mid Ramadan. I would call him back to clinic mid Ramadan just to make sure what sort of levels he's running, how is he coping, how is he catching. So you can always reassess the situation. ये नहीं है कि आपने किसी को रमजान के शुरू में कोई डोज ऑल्ट्रेशंस और वो करके आपने अगर उसको कह दिया कि तुमने रोजे रख सकते हो, ये इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप उस डिसीजन को रिव्यू नहीं कर सकते. It's kind of a mutual thing between you and the person. Call them back mid Ramadan. Fine, okay, you can start, but come back mid Ramadan. We'll reassess the situation, take it from there. Let's move on. Case 6. 48-year-old male, type 2, 13 years, hypertension, dyslipidemia, chronic stable kidney disease, takes premixed insulin 70-30, 10 units twice daily. HbA1c 8% does not matter. Stage 3 and above CKD में HbA1c इतना matter नहीं करता, it might be false. He is monitoring average fasting levels around 120. Perfect. Very good stable glycemic control and stable kidney disease. Creatinine 2.5, GFR 30. But has been stable for a few years. Please, any CKD stage 3 and above should not fast. पौधा 3 दिन पानी ना मिले इस मौसम में मुरझा जाएगा. इन kidneys को अगर 2-4 दिन पानी पूरा ना मिला, this guy will end up or can end up in big trouble. I think for the environment and the temperatures and the humidity that we have, please, I keep a blanket policy that any CKD should not fast. उन्होंने खुद जो करना कर लें. I would not recommend them fast, and I will explain the reasons, the rationale. If the creatinine worsens, it's very easy for them to end up on dialysis. And I have seen 1 or 2 people who have ended up on dialysis after Ramadan just because they fasted off their own accord. Please, any degree of CKD in Pakistan with this climate, we should not be encouraging them to fast. We should discourage them to fast because we want to preserve their kidneys. The risk is too high. It's proven. There's wealth of evidence, and I'll give you some references at the end as well. Let's move on. Case 7. 38-year-old male, type 2 diabetes, 6 years, no comorbidity. Metformin 1 gram twice daily. Premixed insulin 20 units twice daily. HbA1c 7%, average fasting DSL around 120. Pretty reasonable, decent, very stable control. I am quite okay for this guy to fast. I would recommend him. Metformin remains unchanged. Premixed insulin, अगर आप इसको इसी तरह इसी डोज में इसी पैटर्न में देंगे, he would definitely run into hypoglycemia. 4 नहीं तो 5 नहीं तो 7वें रोजे के बाद he would definitely run into quite a lot of problematic hypoglycemia. I would just stop his seri dose. He can take his evening dose with his iftar, continue with his metformin twice daily, and monitor more frequently and reassess the situation. He should be fine. Case 8. 53-year-old male, type 2 diabetes, 14 years, no other comorbidity. Metformin, glimepiride, glargine, 22 units at night. Very frequently use insulin in this part of the world. HbA1c 9.5. average BSL 180, renal function test normal. This is where the evidence kind of comes in. Usually 10% and above HbA1c, we should be discouraging them to fast because the risk of dehydration and more hypoglycemia and they becoming unwell kind of goes up quite sharply. Under 10, if they are safe, sensible, they can monitor more frequently, I'm okay for this guy to fast, but I wouldn't change anything. I would not change anything. Glargine is long acting, he's taking it at night, not running into any hypos. I wouldn't change anything, but I would say that he can continue with everything that is there on the chart unchanged, but monitor more frequently, watch his hydration at Sari and after Iftari, and kind of do more monitoring. And I can call him back in clinic in 10, 12 days time to see how is he doing, how is he coping. I'll have to reassess. Let's move on. Case 9. Okay, so case 9. 32-year-old male, type 2 diabetes, 8 years, no other comorbidity, metformin, datimir. He gives history of recurrent hypoglycemia, which we should always explore with every person with diabetes. HbA1c 8.5, average readings 160, renal normal. It does not matter what control he is running. It does not matter he has CKD or not. Any person who's running recurrent hypoglycemia should not fast. The risk of more and more hypoglycemia and then problematic hypoglycemia just goes up quite sharply. That's what the evidence tells us. So please, it's unclear no for this guy. In fact, this guy you need to help by reducing his hypoglycemia, finding a cause for the hypoglycemia fast. He should forget about it. Case 10. Almost there. We're almost there. One case to go. 40-year-old male, type 2, 8 years, no comorbidity, metformin 1 gram twice daily, liraglutide 1.2 milligram at night daily. Now, GLP-1. So liraglutide is a GLP-1 injection. I want to know the same things. Any hypos? No. HbA1c 7.5, fasting 130, renal normal. GLP-1 has been tested in there is evidence of GLP-1 use in Ramadan without any extra risks or complications. This guy is not on any sulfonylurea as well. Metformin, liraglutide can continue unchanged. He's very unlikely to run into any problems of hypos or hyper. Things are pretty okay and stable. Again, good hydration, pre-sari, after iftari, more frequent monitoring. He should be fine. Liraglutide can be continued with metformin, not a problem. Last case. I'm testing your attention span. That's the last case. 19-year-old male, type 1 diabetes. So here we go. We throw in type 1 for the first time. Type 1 diabetes, 11 years, no other comorbidity. He's on a basal bolus insulin regime, glargine 12 units at night, aspart, which is a quick acting 6 units with meals. No history of recent hypoglycemia. HbA1c 7.5, pretty okay for type 1. Renal test normal. Please, there's one loud and clear message I would like to give. That is why I've kept type 1 at the end. Type 1 diabetes is a total different ball game. Please, the risks are not higher than type 2 for complication, but type 1 really has to be on board. There's a lot of checks apart from the checks we've gone through for all the type 2s. This guy, this is one person I would want you to get an endocrine opinion between that person and the endocrinologist. This is one out of these 11 that I would really want you guys to refer to the endocrinologist. We need to go through a very comprehensive and a long checklist for these type 1s. They should not be having frequent hypos. Their hypoglycemic awareness should be intact. The glycemic control should be optimal. It's a long list. Let us do this. For the patient that I looked after with type 1, and if all checks are okay, I would still support them to fast, but very carefully with an individualized, mutually agreed plan with a lot of monitoring, and that too intermittently, one every few days kind of approach. So it has to be a very, very kind of tailored approach. So please let us do that. I do support them to fast, but for those who tick all the boxes, and that too I allow them to take a fast or have a fast once every few days, so that थोड़ा सा उनका motivation भी रहे, थोड़ा सा religious aspect पूरा होने की उनको वो तसल्ली भी हो, and they are safe as well. So please, type 1 need to be seen with their endocrinologist. Okay, so with that, I thank you all for your listening. I have tested your attention span to the max. I won't put a reference slide in. Anyone who's interested to kind of knowing where I prepared my slides, what sort of evidence I've gone through, experience apni jagah, evidence apni jagah. This is the document you all need to adhere to. This is a very comprehensive document. It's available free for download from the IDF website. This is very comprehensive. This is very up to date. This is the best you can find. You can find all the references, dosing regimes, etc., etc., etc. in this one particular document. So this is the reference. I thank you all for your attentive listening. So let's move on to the last part of the final bits of our today's presentation. Now I'm going to ask my IT team to get the views of the two panelists that we've invited. First, I will ask them to invite Dr. Khurshid, who can speak for 5 to 7 minutes for his views. Then it will be Dr. Faisal Masood for 5 to 7 minutes. So they will go one by one. The team will sort it out. While they're giving their views, I want all of you to start writing your questions in the main chat box. I will start to note that question and I will answer them once our panelists have given their views. So आपके जो questions हैं, हम mic और video इसलिए नहीं on क्योंकि वो we have 100 participants. वो उसको ना control करना बड़ा मुश्किल है. Any questions, any case you want to discuss, just write a few lines about it in the chat box while our panelists give their views. So over to my IT team, Amir Saab, it's over to you for Dr. Khurshid and Dr. Faisal Masood to be aired live.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone. And first of all, I want to congratulate Dr. Atif Munir for a very crisp, to the point presentation, and thank all of you, thank all the participants to be part of this learning activity. And we were really to the full capacity. For the capacity for each session was supposed to be 100, and all the time we had 9,900 people logged in all the time. And there are quite a few which I got messages they were unable to log in because the initial the maximum allowed attendees were supposed to be only 100. So that means next time we'll keep a bigger program, maybe with 200 participants should be allowed, and we will tailor it accordingly. Now, coming to the presentation part, it was excellent presentation. Dr. Atif touched different aspect of different treatment regimens very meticulously. Just a few things from my perspective I would highlight to all my audiences. Please make sure anyone who has diabetes and wants to fast, make sure you tell them ahead of time to visit you at least a week before the start of month of Ramadan. What happens in every practice, and happens in my practice also, people call me in the middle of Ramadan, sometimes first part of Ramadan, okay, we've been fasting, we've been taking the same medication, some problem happened, so what should we do? So we need to preempt all this, and I keep telling all my patients before Ramadan, if you plan to fast, come before a week before me, before to see me. And for the patients I see in the last month before Ramadan, I ask them, this is a regular question I ask them, do you plan to fast? Yes, at times it becomes an awkward situation where the patient does not want to fast and he just somehow doesn't want to say that. So, but at least from my perspective, I want to address it, I want to change the treatment, and the best way to change those treatment is before the Ramadan. And aside from the change, what you would suggest from the treatment, the most important part is to look at the comorbidities of that patient. Someone who's only diabetic and does not have any cardiac disease, kidney disease, and other comorbidities, you can be much relaxed in those patients. You can be a bit more aggressive also in terms of their control. But for patients who have comorbidities, you really need to decide and tell them which category they fall. Do they fall in low risk, medium risk, or high risk category? Usually I tell them, okay, here's the medical advice for you. I know you want to fast, this is your wish, but I can tell you, you fall in high category. On medical grounds, it's not recommended for you. So the patients need very clearly to be spoken regarding which risk category he or she falls, and then we can help him. We can facilitate him to keep the fast if we think from medical standpoint he's all right to do that. Now, the tricky part is some patients, they are in high risk category and they still want to fast. I engage those patients and I try to explain them all the pros and cons of what can happen if they go with the fasting, even with the high risk patients. Most of the times I'm successful to convince them that on medical ground, sometimes I cannot. In those case scenarios, I give up on them. I talk to them and I see what kind of social setup they have, what kind of backup plan they have in case if anything goes wrong, what are they willing to, what point they're willing to break their fast if they become hypoglycemic, how frequently they're going to check that. So I put down certain restrictions on them. You do this during the whole day, check that and break your fast if this happens. So no patient should be left without any proper consultation when that person wants to fast. So having said that, one last point I would like to highlight regarding dapagliflozin, regarding SGLT2 inhibitors. It includes all those SGLT2 inhibitors. From my perspective, in Ramadan, because the common problem when I start these patients on SGLT2 inhibitors, even the regular patients during the regular days when they are not fasting, the diabetic patients, I mean, their complaint, many of them, they share with me that, okay, urination is a problem. They need to go to the washroom frequently. Well, that's how this medicine works. And my personal opinion, you can say, based on all the data, I mean, we can go either way, but based on the hot temperature of Pakistan, and I'm a bit reluctant in asking these patients to take SGLT2 inhibitors, especially with the SARI. For all my patients, I tell them not to take SGLT2 inhibitors at SARI, and I try to stop it altogether if I can. But there are cases where I have to do it. Usually, I tell them to do it with the Aftari rather than the SARI time. So that's the only addition I will do from my perspective. Thank you very much.
Fine. Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Khurshid. So first things first. I think Dr. Faisal को हमें online लेने में कुछ IT issue आ रहे हैं. अगर end करने तक वो आ गए तो we'll take him back. IT team, you can let me know. एक चीज audience के लिए, I've got a few questions on my side. I will go through them one by one. Thank you very much for your patience and your questions. एक चीज बड़ी category है, Dr. Khurshid summed it up really well. Please एक चीज याद रखें. अगर हम मैं दवाई कोई आदि कर रहा हूँ, कोई सुबह कर रहा हूँ, कोई शाम कर रहा हूँ, और डॉक्टर खुर्शीद को किसी और तरह से थोड़ा सा उसको कर रहे हैं, आप लोग किसी और तरह से करें, वी आर ऑल ट्राइंग टू डू द सेम थिंग. वी वांट कि जिसको रोजे नहीं रखने चाहिए, मेडिकली हाई रिस्क है, वो ना रखे. वी वांट जिसको रखने चाहिए, ओके है, सेफ है. We just want him or her to be safe without any acute complication or any, whether we don't end up triggering any of his long-term complications. So we're all trying to do the same thing for the people that we look after. Method थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है, but this is kind of, again मैंने कहा था ना कि जो चीजें I'm going to describe is based on my experience, some evidence सबके लिए एक experiences आगे पीछे हो सकते हैं. So we're all trying to do the same thing for our patients, that we just want to keep them safe and get them through Ramadan. हम ये भी चाहते हैं कि उन्हें रमजान में कोई acute complication, कोई problem में ना हो. हम ये भी चाहते हैं कि उनकी कोई long term complication खराब ना हो. We also want them to medically benefit from Ramadan as well, like the weight loss and lipid profile, etc. So we're all trying to do the same thing. So let me just go through the questions that you have sent. They're all on my by side. Just a second. Okay. So first, so we have the person is taking Cetamet 50/500 twice a day. It's a combination of metformin and sitagliptin and dapagliflozin in the morning. Then he should take dapa in iftar. Yes, as we've discussed in the scenarios, and as Dr. Khurshid has said as well, there is that theoretical risk of slight dehydration and polyuria, etc. So best given at iftar. That's we've agreed on. Actually, next one is a long clinical scenario. Wow, patient age 60 years, type 2 diabetes for 5 years, HbA1c 7.8 to 9, RFT is normal, using mixed insulin twice daily, no hypoglycemic episodes, hypertension as well. and ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease patients, if they are stable, they fall into kind of low risk category. But अगर एक ischemic heart disease का patient है, वो उसको बार बार अभी भी रमजान भी आ गया, शुगर भी और बार बार angina भी हो रहा है, ongoing है, I would not recommend him to fast. That person needs to sort his cardiac issue first with his cardiologist. As far as this scenario is concerned, stable है, newly diagnosed है, stable है, और insulin वो सब चल रहा है. As we went through the scenario, HbA1c is kind of on the higher side, 9 तक है. So yes, he can continue his insulin for safety. HbA1c 9 तक है. I wouldn't stop him from fasting, but I would say कि fine. बेशक अपनी अफ्तारी वाली इंसुलिन आधी कर दे, अफ्तारी वाली पूरी रखे, सहरी वाली आधी कर दे, and monitor more frequently, because if someone is monitoring more frequently, the risk of complication, acute complication, hypo and hyperglycemia minimize होगा. Plus अगर कोई triggers, कोई number, कोई trends show कर रहे हैं, he or she and you together can act on those trends and numbers as Ramadan goes on. Remember, Ramadan 30 दिन starts off गर्मी, लंबे दिन, glycogen stores get depleted as Ramadan goes on. So इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि जो plan आपने शुरू में रमजान के बना लिया वही आखिरी 30वें रोजे तक चलेगा. You might have to tweak the plan altogether. कोई hypos हो रहे हैं, hyper हो रहा है. If the person is just feeling unwell as well, you will encourage them to stop fasting. Okay, so next question is, for a person with type 1, what should be the sugar testing patterns and cutoff to break the fast? That's a really good question. And that's a type 1 question. कि कितनी monitoring होनी चाहिए? देखिए, monitoring की frequency will be individualized between the endocrinologist and the person with type 1. The second part of the question is cutoffs to break the fast. देखिए, fast break करने के लिए cutoff की जरूरत नहीं है. Cutoff तो वही hypo वाला जो 70, 60 किसी का ये ब्रेक करने के लिए ये जरूरी है how unwell the person is feeling. हो सकता है कि किसी कोई 80 पे भी इतना unwell feel करता हो कि he or she just can't continue with the fast. It's more than the numbers. Number ना दे उनको, देखें number तो numbers हैं. हो सकता है कोई 90 पे भी इतना hypoglycemic feel करता हो कि he or she might just struggle to continue with the fast. So it's the clinical condition. Please encourage them कि अगर आपकी clinical condition बहुत high, बहुत low है या नहीं है, if you're just feeling too unwell, you have to, before anything serious happens, you know, आप कहीं 70 का कट ऑफ है, 90 पे he's feeling unwell, he's waiting for अफ्तारी में 2 घंटे, he's waiting कि 70 होगी तो तोड़ूंगा और उसी में उसको fit हो जाए, वो unconscious हो जाए. No, please, it's how unwell they are feeling. It's not the number, I would say. Using biphasic insulin during Ramadan, I think we covered that a little bit quite a bit in the scenarios that we discussed, so we can dwell upon that in the scenarios. Metformin at sehri, mixed start after aftari, before a meal would be good. Yeah, sounds okay, depending on all other boxes to be ticked. He has tried this previous year and it went well, but now has been diagnosed with stable angina. Like, stable angina is not a contraindication. So stable angina should be okay to fast. Unstable should not be. He should sort out his angina first. और ये अच्छा बड़ा उन्होंने इसमें डॉक्टर साहब ने मेंशन किया है कि he tried this regime or tweaking for his diabetes in the last Ramadan. That's really important. You engage with the person. मैं तो सबसे पूछता हूँ कि what did they do last Ramadan? Some people just come up with very weird stuff that they have done with their diabetes tablets and insulin, but it has worked quite well. So उसमें से जो well हुआ है वो आप उसको अगले रमजान में भी follow करवा दें और plus अपनी advice साथ मिला दें, just to tailor and individualize the advice. Cardiac disease, again we've covered. 31 not diabetic, blood sugar levels fall. देखें अगर diabetic नहीं blood sugar fall कर रहे हैं और symptomatic है, then that medical issue needs to be sorted first. रमजान तो बहुत आगे की बात है, ये क्यों fall कर रही है blood sugar, क्या मसला है, इसका diagnosis treatment पहले होना चाहिए, इससे पहले कि हम इस falling sugar के साथ, चाहे वो diabetic नहीं है, उसको से कहें कि तुम ये कर लो या रोका कर लो. I think she should not fast and get her medical condition sorted first. Premixed insulin, I think we've covered that. History of transient ischemic attack, again it depends on, अगर तो steady stable पुराना TIA resolved है, should be okay. अगर कोई doubt है, अभी कोई symptoms आ रहे हैं, then get a neurology opinion first, to be honest. So with this, I don't have any more questions on the box. I would like to say a big thank you to Pakistan Endocrine Society, especially Dr. Khurshid, for kind of coming up with this initiative that we should still go ahead with our Ramazan campaign, be it online. So hats off, Dr. Khurshid, for your initiative. And as we speak, Yehi Talk यही जो theme है Diabetes Ramadan is happening all across Pakistan at the same time, all 4 provinces, which is best about PES because we are a national organization. Number 2, I would like to thank all the participants. एक चीज जो बहुत ज्यादा मैसेजेस और इधर से आ रहे हैं कि जी 100 के ऊपर वो some people have not been allowed to enter. Sorry for that. It was a limitation of the software. We have recorded this in total. हम इसको किसी अपने YouTube चैनल और उस पर पोस्ट करके हम वो पार्टिसिपेंट जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली एंटर नहीं हो सके, we will share the link so that they can go online and then watch it.
इसको
So we have recorded it. We will post it on YouTube or Facebook. We'll email or circulate the link to all of you. So and a big thank you to Hilton, who have always supported us for our out of box educational activities. Thank you very much, Hilton. मेरी तरफ से Allah Hafiz now. I will hand back to the IT team. Amir, please take Dr. Faisal, who is the other panelist who is now with us.
सुनने वालों को सबको हाय. Hi, Dr. Khurshid. Hi, Dr. Atif. I was just going through your talk and wonderful cases, and you have covered a lot of stuff. And again, like Dr. Khurshid said, I think hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, these are the major concern that should be well before Ramadan. And I believe, like Dr. Atif was going through different question answers. He has covered a lot of these things, how we can prevent patient from going into hyperglycemia, and at the same time, we need to choose those patients who have higher risk of like cardiovascular disease. So we need to tell them they are not fit, they should avoid fasting. And at the same time, the patient who have like chronic renal disease or renal failure, in that patients, I think our advice or our doctor advice should be to avoid fasting. So this is, I think we need to tell our patient that in those patients who are fit, right medication, and at the same time adjustment of the medication, that is the most important thing. That should be well before Ramadan, like Khurshid said, And again, I will say this is a very good initiative of Dr. Khurshid, and he has done a wonderful job. Hats off to you, Dr. Khurshid. And I think the way you have done this thing during this phase of COVID, I think that is wonderful. I'm sure the people who cannot go anywhere, they can learn a lot of these, the need of the day from the PES Society, from this forum, Hats off to you. Again, Dr. Atif, very well talked. And I would say all cases were wonderful. I'm sure all the audience must have learned a lot from you. Thank you very much.